So fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston Bruins are of two minds of this player. He could have been just as big as Dave Keon or Steve Shutt or that 35-goal person for regular campaigns, but he decided to bypass the NHL for the WHA. And the man they called Shaky was a very talented guy, but I don't think he hit the heights of success or popularity that a lot of people wanted for him because his image was unfocused for a lot of years. Now, Michael Robert Shaky Walton, or Mike Walton, born in the great community of Kirkland Lake, Ontario. Now, 5'10", 175, massive skills that started in with the St. Mike's Majors, that infamous Super Junior team in the OHA. Now, 62, he played the regular season Memorial Cup for the squad, 63 as well. But he really opened out with the Toronto Marlies in 64, where he scored 92 points in 53 games. Now, after a little bit of season in the AHL, which also included, get this, ladies and gentlemen, a Memorial Cup appearance when he had 26 points in 12 games and led the Marlies to the championship. So he comes into the realm of the NHL, undrafted, of course, because at the time there wasn't really a strong draft system for players like him. So he was groomed in the CPHL with Tulsa, Toronto's affiliate, getting 84 points in 68 games and 65. Now he was finally called up to the Maple Leafs in 66 with 4 points in 6 games. Now 66, he also had a great season with Rochester with 86 points in 68 regular season games, again including 35 goals. So we're seeing, a very big transition from the amateur game to the pros. Now, his growing up was very tough. His family lived in a transient existence before they settled in Toronto. They also operated a restaurant garage in Sutton, about 30 miles north of the city. Now, he got his nickname Shaky from his father Bobby, who would shake his head to draw off opponents as a hockey player when he was in England. So it was a second generation nickname. Now again, the Metro Junior A League title came for his campaigns there, and he attended St. Michael's College on a partial scholarships. Now again, when the majors were discontinued after 62 season, Walton and the rest of the players were transferred to the Neil McNeil Catholic Secondary School squad, where he scored 22 goals in 38 games for the Maroons in 63. Now, again, the great numbers in the OHA and the CPHL, AHL got him up there, and he was pretty well promoted as a power play specialist. Now, most of the players on the team when he came up were of the veteran predominance, so he would play mostly on the power play. Now, 67 season, 17 points in limited time over 31 games, but a big 4 goals in the playoffs, where every one of his goals was pretty strong towards the run. Now, 68, he got a regular goal with the squad. He would have won Rookie of the Year, but he had played 31 games in 67. 68, he had 30 goals in 73 games. 69, he had 22. 70, he had 21. But here the controversy comes in, ladies and gentlemen. 1971 season, they decided to get rid of him as part of a three-way deal. Now, the reason why a lot of people surmise is that because he had a constant conflict with the very arrogant head coach Punch Imlach and team president Stafford Smythe. Now, prior to his dismissal in April 69, Imlach disdainfully younger players clashed with Walton over his hairstyle and bombarded him with negative comments about his online support performance, just like he did with Frank Mahovlich and Carl Brewer and everybody else. Also, an issue was the fact that Walton's agent was, get this, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Eagleson, who helped establish the NBA Players Association. Further complicating matters was Walton's marriage to Smythe's niece and Conn Smythe's granddaughter, Candace. Now, when an independent psychiatrist appointed by the NHL diagnosed Walton with depression in the middle of the 71 season, which was a controversial diagnosis because people think he might have been set up, his departure from the Leafs was imminent. Now, Walton was eventually traded by Toronto to the defending Stanley Cup champion Boston Bruins as part of a three-way deal which included the Flyers. Now, this January 13, 71 transaction happened when the Leafs received Bernie Perron and a second-round draft pick in a 71 amateur draft, which turned out to be Rick Keogh, while the Flyers got Bruce Campbell in a first-round selection in the same draft from the Leafs, which turned about Pierre Plante. Now, they also got Rick McLeese and Danny Schock from the Bruins. Now, Walton blended in well to with the Bruins' prolific scorers, led by Phyllis Mazzito and Bob Orr. His business partner at the time with the Orr-Walton Sports Camp in Orillia, Ontario. He became part of his second championship when the Bruins defeated the Rangers in the 72 finals. Now, his Boston numbers were quite impressive. 72, again, he had 56 points, 76 regular season games. And in 15 games in the playoffs, he had 12 points, including 6 goals. Now, after kind of a shortened season, 73, where he scored 25 goals in 56 games, he eventually found himself out of the NHL. Now, the cutback on his season in his 73 happened during a bizarre incident in the middle of the season when he tripped and fell through a plate glass door at a St. Louis hotel. Now, despite needing over 200 stitches and a complete transfusion after losing 5 pints of blood, he made a complete recovery. So, according to media reports, he was cut literally almost every part of his body, and the only reason why he didn't bleed to death, because again, he was close to a local hospital. Now, with the WHA begging for players, he decided to make the jump. Now, the WHA was attempting to lure talent away from the NHL. It did conduct its first general player draft on February 12, 72, to evenly distribute amongst its franchises NHL players with expiring contracts. Now, even though still under contract with the Bruins, Walton was selected by the LA Sharks. His WHA rights were traded in June 73 to the Minnesota Fighting Saints, who succeeded in signing him to a 3-year deal worth $450,000. Now, he made an immediate impact as the WHA's leading scorer with a career high 117 points, including 57 goals in 1974. He was the team's top scorer for the next 2 years, but left the team on February 25, 76, 3 days before financial problems forced the Fighting Saints to cease operations. He also played for Team Canada when it lost its 74 Summit Series to Soviet Union 4-1 with 3 ties. Observers consider his performance to be the biggest disappointment in the series. Now, I've watched every game in the series. The only disappointment he had that year, he was always behind the play. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen. You had Bobby Hull, Andre Lacroix, Gordie Howe, Paul Anderson, some very, very strong forwards. It just seems he was kind of lost on the bigger ice services in Russia. Doesn't mean he wasn't a great player, but some players can do good against what they call an international play. Now, Wilson returned to the NHL to finish his 76 campaign, but was not with the Bruins. 2 years earlier, on February 7, 74, they had traded his NHL rights along with Chris Adolphson and Fred O'Donnell to the Canucks for Bobby Schmutz. Now, even though his 66 points, including 9 goals, and 78 led the Canucks and were the best numbers in NHL career, he was dealt to the St. Louis Blues on June 12, 1978. His subsequent season was split with the Bruins, the Blues, and the Chicago Blackhawks, and the latter two's AHL affiliates, so he played with 5 teams in one season. His final years of professional hockey in 1980 were spent with 2 teams in West Germany in the Bundesliga. Now, Walton, again, married to Candace, of course, has 3 children. Now, since his retirement from professional hockey, he has worked as a real estate agent for Remax in Toronto. His clients have included active and former Leafs players, such as Doug Gilmour and Matt Sundin. Now, he was the eponymous and initial proprietor of Shake's Original Bar and Grill on Bloor Street in the western part of the city, a great hangout. I've never been there, but I heard the burgers are good. Now, he's the son of the former NHL hockey player, Bob Walton. Now, many, many awards in his career. Let's go over them. He won the, again, J. Ross Robertson Cup as OHA champion in 64, Memorial Cup champion 64, Rookie of the Year for the Tulsa Oilers, CPHL, Ken McKenzie Prize in 65, Dudley Grant Red Garrett Memorial Award, Doug Garrett Memorial Award, Rookie of the Year for Rochester in 66, Calder Cup 66, Stanley Cup Toronto 67, NHL All-Star Team 68, Stanley Cup title, 72 in Boston. 74 Bill Hunter Trophy, scoring leader for the WHA. And he was an inaugural member of the World Hockey Association Hall of Fame. So one of the few players, ladies and gentlemen, in NHL history to be an OHA champion, Memorial Cup champion, a Calder Cup champion, and a Stanley Cup champion. Never obviously won gold medals at the Worlds or the Olympics, but there was no program for him to play in. He probably done quite well. Now let's talk about, ladies and gentlemen, that 79 season, just to recap. 11 points with St. Louis, 7 goals. Then to Boston, 6 points in 14 games. 1 game in Rochester, 3 points. 6 goals in 26 games in 79 for Chicago, 1 goal in the playoffs. And then played with one of my favorite teams, the Brunswick Hawks, to wrap up his career with 6 points in 7 games. So with 5 teams that year, 19 goals, very close to breaking 20. NHL totals again, 201 goals in 588 games, and 448 points, 24 points in 47 games in the playoffs. WHA point a game pace, 136, 145, 281, 211 games, and in the playoffs, 35 points in 23 games. Now Minnesota, their 2 big playoff runs in 75 and 74 and 75, 23 games, 20 goals, 15 assists for 35 points. Now again, a disappointment to many at the Summit. 6 games, 1 assist, and 2 minutes in penalties. So did his lack of great playing time at the 74 Summit cost him a possible tie in the series or a victory? Hard to tell. But to me, Shaky will stand out for one major reason. Okay, not say an overachiever, but a consistent player that could play with anybody. And the numbers with Minnesota in that 74 season, he was one of the cornerstones of making the WHA popular. And I must tell you this, all the former Maple Leafs that were playing in the WHA at the time in 75, there was a lot of people in Ontario watching. They were dedicated to the Leafs, so it helped the popularity of the league. And when Mike left the league, that was another nail in the coffin for the WHA not living on. So that's the many lives of Mike Shaky Walton. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Comments are more than welcome. We're taking new requests starting next week.